He sounds like a guy that genuinely cares, but just so much of what he says, and he talks about how this is all part of the master plan and this process and everything they've done has been calculated, when we know that's just not true. A lot of what happened this offseason with the coaching hires and replacing both coordinators, replacing 10 of 21 assistants was a bleep show. It's just tough to take anything Aaron Glenn says seriously. His tone was way different in this version of a presser than the last time we saw him at owners' meetings. He was way less boisterous because he got his teeth kicked in year one. So he definitely sounded like he was more humble. But when he says everything they've done was intentional right at the beginning, and when he uses the line that, Gino Smith's going to lead them to the promised land when he was quarterbacking a team that had the worst record in football this past year, you're just going to lose most realist Jet fans out there because no one's buying that. Unmute your mic and give us your thoughts. You're muted.
Okay, so yeah, man, I agree. It's when you hear him, and I've said this a million times, when you hear him, he sounds like an old school coach 20 years ago. It's about, the personality, the person, the individual. And while that's not important, of course it's important. It's just there needs to be a split of the pie in terms of strategy and new wave of thinking. And you just don't hear that enough. And that is that's not to say he doesn't have it in his back pocket and he's not giving it away. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But based on what I saw last year, that's just not there. Now, an example of that is chip on the shoulder. He wants a guy with a chip on the shoulder at quarterback. Again, you can't discount that, but to me, that wouldn't be the number one criteria. My number one criteria would be grabbing a quarterback who could execute in terms of today's efficiency. And that's how offenses work today. Yes, you want to have a running game. Yes, you want to have an O-line, but it works through the eyes of the quarterback in terms of efficiency. And with that efficiency, with the short passing game, you control time of possession, which is the best friend of a defense. And that is the number one weapon for a defense today. Honestly, the rules are set in a way where offensive efficiency is the best defense. Better than the defensive personality, talent, all that stuff, scheme, what have you. So that's just the part I fail to hear, and I really, really want to hear.
On changing to a 3-4 defense, Glenn asked about that, says they're going to be multiple, incorporating elements of a 3-4.
I keep telling everyone, the ASMANIACs are making fun of me for keep saying that, for me maintaining that. But yeah, it's a new world. When you go 3-4 and you want to go react attack, which is what he's certainly going to do, instead of having guys hair on fire downhill, susceptible to traps and screens and counters and misdirections. It's more you gotta read the ear hole. You're in Frogger stances. If you see D tackles kind of on their back heels in Frogger stances instead of sprinter Michael Johnson, Carl Lewis track stuff with Salah where they get downhill, they do that, get their ass low, Frogger, because they want to read. They want to read, maintain balance, maintain gap integrity, and then react. So read the ear hole. Find your positioning, match the blocking, if it's man, if it's gap, if it's zone, and then react. That's going to be more, and that's more 3-4, that's more odd. But today with 11 personnel, it's going to be multiple, no matter what.
Look, they're going to be a nickel. He referenced 70% of the time.
Yeah.
The one thing about Arvell Reese, he was asked specifically about him by Rich Samini, was an excellent question.
Yeah, I didn't hear the question, but yeah, walk me through it.
Well, he asked about, when you have a guy who hasn't had a ton of production, but everyone raves about how special he is and why he's projecting to go number 2, how do you balance that? And he started talking about the traits that matter. And one of the things he mentioned is arm length. So you could cross.
Did he really? I didn't hear that part. Okay.
Yeah, of course. He didn't say we're not going to draft Ruben Bain, but that was one of the first things he mentioned. And then he talked about, can we coach the guy up? And I think the Carl Dunbar hire is so important there because honestly, my big takeaway from this press conference, as far as like actual things that matter, I'd be flabbergasted if Arvell Reese is not the Jets pick at 2. The way he described what they look for in a player and how they want to find the right player and then know they have the right coach to coach him up. We know Aaron Glenn has called play calling a superpower. We know he's raved about his coaching hires. The one hire I think most fans agree was a good one was the D-line coach coming back in Carl Dunbar. I would be flabbergasted if Arvell Reese is not the Jets pick at number 2 following Aaron Glenn's comments in this presser.
100% agree. I've been on that train for 2 months now, since January. You can call Reese a projection only in full-time pass rushing. That's it. Everything else, every other part of football, and there are millions of other parts other than pass rushing, he's not a projection. He does the little things well. He has instincts. I disagree with some people thinking he's a better off-ball linebacker. I don't see that. I think he can get it done at the NFL level. I don't want him in coverage. He's an edge. He's a physical, athletic, crazy specimen prototype of an edge in the NFL. He's only a projection in terms of every down pass rushing. And again, the way the NFL is these days, you have to maintain, you have to maintain responsible pass rush lanes for mobile quarterbacks. Pass rushing is becoming few and further between. Successful defenses don't have crazy high sack numbers all the time. It's not exclusive. They can, but not all the time. Look at Seattle this last year. So it's not with pass rushing. That's where people get lost when they hear Reese projection, raw, not experience. It's only in the every down pass rushing. Everything else, he's not a projection. He is head and shoulders the more complete guy, and he fits the free agents that he brought in. Asai, Enigbare, the big guys react and attack up front. So listen, Glenn, I have a lot of problems with his strategy stuff, in-game management, getting with the modern times, but with scouting, with him watching film in terms of individual talents and individual people and individual players, I think he knows what he's doing.
Well, here's the thing with Glenn. I think he's a nice guy. I think he means well. I don't hear a head coach when I listen to him, because last year when he came in and was loud and boisterous, and we saw what that looked like, no one can forget that. They won 3 games, and their 3 wins were against backup quarterbacks when they were trying to win. They started 0-7. He did not know how long the game-winning field goal distance was in a game in London against Denver that he blew on his own.
Yeah,
had no feel for being able to bench the quarterback when it was obvious that's what needed to be done. There are just so many things that are alarming here. And as a Jet fan, you just got to hope that it magically improves, that he figures it out, something clicks, or that the roster just is so infused with much more talent, and Gino gives you this renaissance year that you could overcome some of these deficiencies. One of the things he talked about with Gino is that, he has a chip on his shoulder. Well, didn't Justin Fields have a chip on his shoulder? This was the same thing a year ago when we were talking about Fields has never been coached properly. We know how good he could be. He owned the Fields thing and put it on him, but we can't forget about what went wrong in year 1. He felt so great about his coaching staff that he was bragging about them at the combine, only to now set an NFL record, him and Hugh Jackson over the last 25 years, firing both coordinators and having to replace a historic amount of assistants, 10 of 21 in total.
You don't know what you don't know. And successful people, coaches, they're going to have conviction. You can't take that away. But in terms of how he approached the offense and the mindset last year, it was, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, it's all going to work out. We're not the same old Jets after the Tampa game. Motivation only goes so far, and it travels further. It travels way less than it used to, shorter distance than it used to in terms of today's brand of the game. And I had a major problem with them promising Fields the job last year, mainly because Fields he's not Johnny Unitas. He's never done it before. Gino is a little different. I'm more okay with it. However, don't go into the year thinking you're set at that position or other positions like offensive line. It is a different world when you're not running zone reads and RPOs and all that stuff off the edge. You got to count.
Forget all that for a second. He put another target on his back with the promised land quote about Gino. That needs to be the focus. That's the quote that's being memed again, just like the superpower quote, just like him falling asleep at the combine. Like, again, for those who missed it, for those just tuning in, this is the quote that is on every site. I'm already seeing all the jokes. I'm being tagged in these tweets as if we all didn't see it.
Is it really?
Yeah, man.
A quarterback, and I'm going to say a quarterback with a chip on his shoulder. And listen, he's proven a lot in this league of what he's done, especially when you take those times when he was in Seattle. Listen, he fits exactly what we're trying to do. So obviously we've created an identity. The foundation of our offense is pretty good now. Like, I just feel like he's the guy that's going to lead us to the promised land. He's
Come
the guy
on.
that's going to touch the ball more than anybody else on offense. And listen, I know he had his struggles, and I think a lot of quarterbacks, you know, they have their struggles. If you look at over the last 5 years, the guy that's thrown the most interception. I mean, the top guys are up there.
I mean, why even compare Gino to the top guys? Gino quarterbacked the Raiders, who have the first pick in the draft. He just always says something that's unnecessary that adds further flames to the Jet situation, and it's unnecessary. It's it's dumb.
You can't take the motivation out of the motivational type coach. That's one. And number two, again, I look for signals that he understands today's game in terms of strategy. Again, scouting part, watching tape, I don't have a problem with. I think he's good there, but why put it on Gino's shoulders, like you said, and instead talk as if it's a unit. It's a connected unit. Gino is one of 11. And speak about it that way. Your offense has to be efficient. Gino's the leader of the ship. And think about it in a different way. And that's what I'm searching for. And I just don't hear it from him. And again, it's just more old school type thinking.
It's just, it doesn't help. And like, that's the quote that's going to be used against him. And it's just silly. I see someone in the chat, CJ, you think he's referring to leading us to the #1 overall pick? Again, like I can't shake the feeling of just listening to Glenn, and the guy just is a phony. He's not a head coach. Like, that's the feeling I get. For him to sit up there with a straight face and said that everything they've done this offseason is intentional. Well, we know it's not true. It was incredibly muddy. We've never seen a coaching search play out the way it did with the Jets this year, where they fired their offensive coordinator during the middle of the Senior Bowl. They fired their DC in the middle or at the end of the season, and then brought in 8 initial candidates for interviews. Brian Duker, not one of them, and then only had to hire Duker when all the other candidates said no. And Wink Martindale was either vetoed by Muji or Woody from being the play caller, which, by the way, they actually got it right. Glenn should just call the defense.
That was curious. Why did he want Wink? Why did he want Wink? I don't understand that.
But to say it's intentional, like, it's not. The one thing he did say, and Muji said this too, and hopefully this is just, trying to talk up, players on the team. When they both say they like their wide receiver room, again, Muji said it yesterday. Glenn said he likes the room, and they both referenced where we're going to have Garrett back. That's great. We had Garrett last year at the beginning of the year, and the room was in shambles. I like A.D. Mitchell, but he's a 3 at best on this team. They need to upgrade that room substantially. Hopefully that happens in the draft and they get it right, or they make a trade of some sorts. But that's the one football thing that Glenn talked about after Muji said what he said. They need to, I hope they truly understand how important adding another bona fide receiver to that room is.
They better. I mean, listen, Reich is here, and I hate situations where it feels like there's one offensive coach and one defensive head coach. Gase, Greg Williams struck me as that way, and that's when I first started covering the team in person. Hated it. I love Greg Williams as a defensive coach, but I just hate that setup, and that's what it's starting to feel like now, and I don't love it. I honestly don't.
Asked about Ty Simpson, and he said, we'll basically take, the best player. He did another interview with SNY one-on-one with Chelsea Sherrod, asked about Ty Simpson, and I'll pull it, but I'll read the quote in the meantime, just because we got a little more from that than we did from the actual presser.
Mm-hmm.
He said, quote, he's extremely smart. You could tell he works his ass off. He did a great job when asked about the private workout. He's going to be in play for them, whether people like it or not. It's just a matter of, is he in play at 16 or do they take a swing at 33? But it's clear they're not thinking about 2027 right now. They're all in on 2026 because they don't know if they're going to be here for 2027.
Listen, my quote before, you don't know what you don't know, and none of us know what the current situation is within the organization. Muji, it's been speculated, Faria, you, others, Samini. You guys doing a show tonight, by the way? The Jets Collective?
Tomorrow night. Tomorrow at 7 Eastern.
Yeah, Samini's in Arizona, I'm sure, right? Yeah.
That's right. He's on the red eye tonight, so we will be back at it tomorrow, baby.
Yeah, so we don't know what we don't know. Simpson, whose decision? The final decision. Of course, it's a group effort, but the final decision, who does it come down to? Is it Muji? And if it is Muji, and if he really likes him and Reich signs off, maybe they take him. I don't know. I would bet against it right now at 16, but you're not wrong. I think he's definitely an option.
I'm just trying, like again, like I'm not trying to, I'm just, I don't know what it is, but like I'm just trying to show that Reese has more potential as an edge rusher than maybe some people are giving him credit for because of the lack of reps. But I'm just talking about, I was talking strictly about traits. Like, yeah, he's not winning a lot with speed right now, but he has the potential to win with speed. That's the main point. And I think
he does. I'm with you, Joe. The winning with speed being his A1 as a pass rusher with Reese, definitely is there. I just worry about the counters. Like that's the one thing. Like,
fine.
That's the one thing. Like, I'm with you on the speed stuff. I mean, it's dude, he's a missile. You know what I mean? So,
but with that being said, you would anticipate. And again, like, I don't want to put words in your mouth or anything like that. No, but with more reps and Carl Dunbar coaching him, you'd anticipate him developing more moves, developing more counters.
Dude, sometimes counters.
Like, I don't think he's a finished product.
Yeah, but sometimes guys, like, it's such a finicky thing, because finicky by like, you might get it with counters. Like, not everyone's going to be able to like learn counters, like, just because you have Carl Dunbar. Like, some guys can.
It's not a given.
Yeah, so it's
any
tough.
Any player could be a bust. Any player could be Vernon Golston. I'm not saying anybody could be a bust. Reese, I don't think Reese will necessarily like bust because of how good he's in the run game. Like, no doubt about it. He has a floor that's relatively, at least like solidly high just because of the run game. But realistically, if he's a really good run defender, linebacker, outside linebacker, then he should be a 4th round pick. Like, obviously there's anybody can bust, but I just see the pass rush potential. And it's not a thing where he didn't produce when given the opportunity. So I get he didn't necessarily win how you wanted him to win, but it's not because of lack of athletic traits to do so. It's just because of lack of coaching. Like, again, there's reps where he's standing so high up pre-snap, and the whole recoil for him to start to rush a passer takes a second, and he loses the rep where simply bend your knees more. Like, little things can help him out a lot.
This is a tough thing to kind of it's a good, interesting conversation in terms of, can you teach an edge counters, hand fighting, knowing how to use leverage points to offset tackles?
I think so.
Get around them. I think you can too, but I also think there's a natural component to it, or like something that's just like you do.
There's an innate feel for some guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I'm getting the vibe that he doesn't have the innate feel in that counter department. I'm not talking about the other stuff. That's
he developed it but he developed that over time, right? Like, when he was 21 years old and a second year full-time pass rusher, he had 5 sacks. So he developed that. He didn't have it right away. It wasn't just an innate feel.
Some of those sacks came from delayed blitzes. I saw him have a few sacks there.
Bailey?
No, Reese.
No. I'm saying that Bailey, at 21 years old with a full extra year of pass rushing, he only had 5 sacks. So he didn't have the innate feel then either. He learned it. He felt it out. He was coached it. Reese hasn't had the opportunity to do so. So I'm not arguing that he's the better player right now as a pass rusher. He's not. But he has higher potential, and there's legitimate reasons why he wasn't as technically refined, because he wasn't coached to do so.
I can't wait till they draft Sonny Styles at 2, and this is all for naught anyway.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. But it's just like, I understand some of the points, and like, if Frankie felt I was trying to dunk or criticize him, I don't mean to be like that.
We both did a little bit. It's all good, dude. It's arguing. It's.
I had to get you back for the jackass on Twitter and tagging me and ruining my day.
Look, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, because whoever they take at 2 is just along for the ride as we head to the promised land.
I just feel like he's the guy that's going to lead us to the promised land.
We got Gino, baby, and that's all that really matters. Gentlemen, nearly 2 hours of this.
Boy,
unbelievable. I was just letting you guys cook. That was, as a viewer, I found it enlightening and incredibly entertaining. So I appreciate both of you guys' time and energy into this, and hopefully fans who tuned in, they come away informed.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, Frankie. No harm, no foul. I think we got a little spicy there towards the end, but respect you, Frankie.
Yeah, man. Listen, I hate bringing up that I played. By the way, when I played, I was like the Vernon Golston there. I was a friggin' bust. So I mean, maybe I should shut up. I don't like bringing that up. I never believe that because you've played, you know more. I don't believe that. I think
that are like the fans who are like, I've been watching this team for 50 years. I know everything. Exactly. It's like, you could be an idiot and watch a team for 60 years.
Anybody could learn about a sport and know better than a professional. I never advised. I don't want to bring that up, but that technique, I just remember the Frogger point back was actually good because you're right. That is a technique that they teach. I just see Reese sometimes with that technique that I remember literally practicing daily.
Yeah. Like,
so it was like, I just brought it. I hate bringing that stuff up because you sound like an asshole. Or I do, but whatever.
Yeah, no, like I said, like it could be a thing where he's showing rush and then he feels that run out, so he gets into the Frogger stance to read it. Like if he was taught to be aggressive, he would be aggressive, but he showed aggression and then backed off because it was a run. Like you could kind of fake your set just because like his front foot's forward doesn't mean he needs to explode into him necessarily. Like the Jets are going to do more Frogger like read and react stuff than just pure penetration stuff. And like that's my point with Bailey. I think we can have even a little bit more of a different discussion about them if we were more of an attack front with the Titans versus the Jets, and like Reese undoubtedly fits what they're bringing in with Osai, Onyemata, and all those guys. So I think that's going to be more so what it is than just pure winning gap penetration type stuff.
Hey, here's the deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button, and you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the f*** out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.